All right, guys, it's showtime. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of PEPTalk, Productive Environment Podcast. Today, we are talking about the blind advantage, how systems create freedom and independence. And I am Andrea Anderson, CEO of Productive Environment Institute. I'm here in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, joined by...
I'm Barbara Hemphill, founder of Productive Environment Institute in Raleigh, North Carolina.
And we are joined by our special guests today. We have Josh McMillan, a visually impaired entrepreneur, and Demetrius Farrior, Josh's coach and founder of DFIT. And if you're part of our productive environment community, you know Demetrius and DFIT they've been a part of us for a long time. So we are super excited to have you guys. And Demetrius, why don't you tell everybody where you guys are joining us from?
We're joining from Carolina Beach, which I'm in Curry Beach, North Carolina.
That's right. I was going to say, you're not in Carolina Beach anymore. You're in Curry Beach, 2.5 miles away.
Last week.
That's Andrea?
Right. Yeah.
It just occurs to me that we should say that Demetrius's business was the first business that Productive Environment Institute certified as a productive environment business.
That's right. That's exactly right. He has a plaque. And it was, I don't remember what year it was, but it was February. I do remember it was February. And it's sort of DFIT, a certified productive environment.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I can attest that it still very much is. And it is physically in Carolina Beach, a physical location. And he also now coaches and trains people all over the world virtually, because when you have systems, you can do things virtually, almost with your eyes closed. I mean, literally, in fact, you know what? I just reminded myself, Barbara, when I did my very first virtual 8-hour miracle with someone, like I had learned how to, and this is like dealing with people's paper and putting things in place. And I had gone to your training and I learned how to do it physically, going into someone's office, sitting side by side and doing it. And then, it was Kathy Powell who said, you can do this virtually, right? And I was like, what? How? I have to be there. I have to see it. I have to touch it. And she's like, no, you don't. She said, you can do it. And this was before Zoom. We had Skype, but I didn't use it. It was literally just the telephone. And so I felt, I don't want to say I felt blind, but I couldn't see what she was doing. I couldn't see her space. And my first client, I did it. And it was because I had a system. You had step-by-step how to do a office transformation or 8-hour miracle. Now we call it office transformation. And it was step-by-step. And I just said, okay, do this first. Okay, do this next. And she couldn't see me because we were on the phone, and it worked. So I'm sorry. I just had to say that because I hadn't thought about that until just now, that system allowed us to go virtual. And now Demetrius does the same thing. So the name of this is The Blind Advantage, how systems create freedom and independence. And as we mentioned, Josh is a visually impaired entrepreneur. And I was just curious about Josh, like, how do you do the things you do? How do you, are you clutter free? I mean, how do you organize your room? How do you meal prep? How do you do these kinds of things? And so I was asking him questions, and I was like, okay, we got to get him on and do an interview. But before we get into that, Demetrius, how about you share with us your and Josh's origin story? You guys are superheroes, and superheroes have an origin story. So what's your origin story?
Well, he was a superhero before I met him. Mm-hmm. And that's how he caught my attention. I was in the gym one day, and I saw him with this guy, and Josh was in the front, and I saw a guy behind him like this. I couldn't tell which one couldn't see at first. I really couldn't tell because Josh was in the front and he was moving with ease. And I'm gonna tell you the way we moved Josh. The way we moved Josh, the reason why I couldn't tell that who couldn't see, his cousin was in the back, and what you do, you maneuver him with your hand like this, like a steering wheel. Not knowing, you couldn't tell who was steering who.
Yeah.
I was in the gym, I was on the bike one day, and I saw him day one, and then I saw him about 3 days later, and I was like, man, this guy is consistent. And I said, he can't see. And I finally figured out which one couldn't see because the way Josh got on the bench. And so I saw Josh get on the bench. Then I saw Josh the next day. And you know I love consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this guy can't see, but he finds his way to the gym. So I went back to my boot camp, my DFITers. I told him about this guy. I went back to a DFIT. I said, man, there's this guy in there. He shows up and he can't see. And I talked about him for about 2 weeks. And then fast forward a year later, this guy pops up on my feed and he says, are you a trainer? He's like, are you a trainer? Or are you trying to get certified? So I went back to Andrea the next day. I was fussing. I was like, can't this guy see that I'm certified and I'm a trainer and blah, blah, blah. And I was like fussing. And Andrea said, go back and look. He's asking to be coached. He wants training. So I went back and looked. And I was like, oh. And then I went back, I looked, and I was like, man, that guy looks familiar. So I prayed about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's the guy from the gym. I want to work with him. So I texted him back. I said, hey man, I said, let's work together. And I guess he was kind of shocked that I accepted him that fast. He's like, well, dude, how much it costs? He's like, let's go ahead and get this stuff out the way. I said, don't worry about that. We'll figure that out later. So we met the next day. It was a good mess. I said, meet me at 8. And then we started meeting at 5. And then after that, it just became repetitive. I pick him up every morning at 4:45
a.m.
Be at the gym at 5, and he's always ready. And he meets me out. When I pick him up, he's outside. He walks to the car. He has coyotes out there, squirrels, chickens, hawks, and he's out there in the dark waiting for me with all these wild animals around him. And he walks up to the car. He hears the motor. And then his signal for where to reach the door handle, I make sure I click the doors, I unlock the doors, and he knows where the handle is. And that's how we pick each other up every morning.
Mm-hmm. That is so awesome. So Josh, what's your perspective? What's your side of the story?
I was on Facebook looking for like a personal coach or something. And then I met Demetrius. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, first day was great. It was easy. We kind of got in the gym. I told him how I like to be guided, and he's so consistent that he's done it from the first time since then. Like no mistakes. It's been the exact same thing every day. So everything has a system to it, and it makes it a lot easier just to navigate and be freer.
That's right. And then
So what I do whenever we're in a place, or especially the gym, I paint a picture for them. So what I do, I say, we walk in, I say the desk is here, I say to the right are the ellipticals, to the left are the weights, there's a gate. And then so he counts every step when we come in, so he gets used to the gym. So we go in, I say there's a nasty little curl machine, and then I say there's an evil trash can to your left. And then I say, then we go around the corner. So he counts all the steps, because as soon as we go into the gym, he gets on the treadmill. So he maps out the whole gym, and I just give him an idea of what the dynamics of the gym looks like.
That is so cool. So Josh, and you don't use a cane or a one of the, I don't know what you call it, the stick. You don't.
Stick.
Yeah.
Well, it just depends. Like if I'm walking my dog up the street or something like that, I'll use it.
Okay.
But like stuff like a Clutter gym or something like that, and have somebody to guide me, I usually just leave it home or in my bag.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. And sometimes Demetrius puts me in charge, and you guys say that I overlead. Like I say, like you're doing too much, because I'm like, turn right here. There's a bump. Okay, watch your step.
Yeah, what's funny, I'll say, okay, Josh, I'll let Josh go. And I'll say, okay, Josh, you got a straight shot. There's a car. There's a wall, door to the left. That's it. And I let him loose. Andrea's like, walk this way. There's a bump. There's a grind right there. There's a mailbox sticking.
Listen to my voice.
And Josh said that's her, what'd you say, that's her nature?
Yeah, her nature instincts kicking in.
You're compassionate, your
Yep.
motherly instincts is what he was trying to.
Right.
Yep.
To protect something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's my protections instinct.
Right.
Yeah.
And mine is about the net.
What's interesting about that is one of the things that we deal with in training clients is that, in fact, the thing you mentioned, how we used to, when you met me, I didn't do any virtual training, and we talked about it, but, there's no way they can do that. But what we learned that's so interesting is that actually the virtual clients probably learn more faster
Yes.
because they learn kinesthetically. So because when I was sitting there with them, I was handling some of the papers and doing, for one thing, I couldn't stand being bored. So I would have to do something in order to do it. But then when we started doing virtual, they learn faster because they're doing it kinesthetically. So
They have to do it. Yeah.
Error on assuming that they can't do it, but they really can.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We talk about that. We're like, you've said that before, that they do better when we're not there doing it for them, basically. Yeah. Dee, you look like you were going to say something. Did she trigger a memory?
No, I was saying that's right. That's what I tell my clients that's never done virtual. I say, actually, you get more out of the virtual because it's step by step. Because when you're with me, you take advantage of it. You take you don't embrace it when you're actually with me. But when you're not with me, you have to listen and you have to go out on your own and do it. So it's better when you're virtual.
Yeah, that's such a good point for both. Yeah. So I want to talk about something. I'm going to share the title again here. So The Blind Advantage: How Systems Create Freedom and Independence. And Josh, you asked me a question right before we got on. I would love for you to ask everybody that's listening to this now and that will listen to the replay later when you asked us to close our eyes. So yeah, lead us through that.
If you close your eyes right now, could you get your car keys? Or could you cook dinner? Any of the above.
Okay. I would step on my dog, but I could eventually wait. You know what? I didn't put my purse in the same place today. So I do know where the keys are. And you asked if I could cook dinner. I could not cook dinner, but I could grab a protein shake.
Right.
Visualizing that. Yeah. So everybody else, where you're listening. Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, in my case, I could definitely, my keys for sure I would know. Like in fact, one of my jokes was I bought a briefcase one time that had a whole bunch of pockets in it. And I was going to give it away because I could never remember which pocket I had put the keys in. And so and then I realized, I can super glue it. So I took some of the pockets and super glued them shut so that there was only one that had my keys in it. And when I was young, I had 5 kids and 4 of them were drivers. And somebody was always asking about the car keys. Where's the car keys? So I got a magnetic hook and put it on the side of the refrigerator because they were all teenagers. They showed up at the refrigerator. And I said, in the future, if I find any car keys, they will be hanging on the hook in the refrigerator. So don't ever ask me if I have car keys again. And now 2 of the 5 have magnetic hooks on their refrigerator where they put their car keys.
That's awesome. I love it.
Now, you guys want to raise this question. I can cook dinner without seeing. And I'm going to tell you how I do it, and then Josh is going to tell you how you do it, because I know you guys are interested. Okay. So I can cook dinner because everything before I cook it is laid out because I don't have a good memory. So I have all my spices already set out what I'm going to cook because I have to remember what I'm going to put in there, because you guys know when you're an entrepreneur and you're a thinker, you forget stuff and you're thinking about other things while you're washing dishes or you're cooking, you're thinking about other things. So the night before, I set all my meat, everything that I'm going to use in there. I set my scissors, my pots, my everything is already set where I want everything is already prepped before I cook it. So that's how I can cook blindfolded. So
I believe it.
Cook blindfolded.
I don't cook blindfolded. No. I have certain drawers for my meats, vegetables. I put my knives and stuff in the same place every time I cut the board. And then all my spices are in the same exact place. So I find out what I want to cook. I get all my stuff down. Chopping and stuff is easy because I actually used to be a cook before I went blind. So
wow.
All that stuff's pretty easy. And then at the same time, I got other stuff to do, so I don't like to look for all that stuff for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time. So it's all in the same exact place.
And then you put it back in the same place.
And if I use it, it goes directly right back.
That's so lovely when you live alone. It goes right back and nobody touches it.
Right. It's only got one spot it belongs. So if I buy a new one, it goes to the same place.
Barbara, you're muted.
One of the things we talk about is a place for everything and everything in its place. And most of our sighted clients, we will say to them, that's half right. If you're sighted, There has to be a place for everything. And particularly if you live with other people, the chances that it's all going to be in the right place is probably pretty slim. In my case with my husband, that would never happen. But you can recover, but if you're not sighted, then you have to use both parts of it. There has to be a place for everything, and everything has to be in its place.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise things happen. Like you guys shared some things with me. One of the bullets, Josh, you shared was less stress and more control. The systems give you less stress and more control. Now, that's something that we teach. All of these points, I have 3 points here that you shared. These are things we teach all day, every day. Like Barbara's been teaching this stuff for 46 years. But seeing it from your perspective is a little interesting. So when you have a system in place, you eliminate chaos and reduce anxiety. I can imagine the anxiety in an unfamiliar place, or if things aren't where they were supposed to be. So instead of reacting to problems, you stay ahead of them, giving you more control over your time and energy. Do you want to expand on that?
Like, say if Dee's come to pick me up at 4:50, right?
Yeah.
I go to the bathroom to brush my teeth. My toothbrush isn't there, or my toothpaste isn't there. That can be 5 to 10 minutes. I'm looking for something. Versus like if somebody has vision, they'll just throw it on the counter because they can see it. They don't have to automatically think it has a place to go. So just little things like that, or if I don't put my shoes exactly where I had them last time, that's 5 or 6 minutes gone. Or it might be longer than that. When I first moved to my apartment now, I misplaced a marker I had on the wall to go down the hallway. And because I didn't put the marker back, I ended up eating lunch on top of the washing machine for like 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Until I could regroup myself and get where I needed to go. So
Wow.
just the minimum stuff helps you longer than most people expect it to.
Tell me about your mom fussing at you for eating in the dark in the kitchen.
Oh, I was sitting in the kitchen eating a bowl of soup when it was like maybe 11 o'clock at night, and I just had the lights off, and she would turn the lights on. She's like, "That's weird. Please turn the light on when you eat." I don't need that.
If you want the lights on, you can turn the lights on, but I don't need them.
Right, exactly.
That's funny. Well, that's you brought your mom up. So how does that work with the two of you? Like, does she leave things out, or is she now having to be cognizant of where things go? Like, how does that work?
We kind of, at first it was difficult. Then we started working together. I'm like, hey, find a spot for this. You pick the spot, and then I'll go with that. So if you're living with somebody, it's easier to find common ground than it is to like argue about what you want specifically.
That's good. Ooh, that's powerful.
That's a life lesson.
Yes, it is. You pick the spot, and then I'll figure it out. I'll work around it. I love that.
Has to be adaptable to something.
What's that?
Everybody has to be adaptable. So if this is something you need specifically here, when it comes to my turn and I need this specifically, we should both be able to adapt to help each other.
Yeah.
So we've come up with 2 C words so far that are really significant: consistency and compromise.
Yes.
Right.
Consistency and compromise. That's great. That's awesome.
And I don't think we've mentioned it either. We've talked about systems, but we didn't talk about PEI's definition of system is saving you space, time, energy, and money. And Josh, you live that every single day. I mean, those systems save you those things every single day. So
yes, ma'am.
I'm so excited you're here. This is wonderful. It's so much fun to talk about.
It is. And Demetrius, I'll give you like 1 minute to share your story about your slippers, because that is really relevant here. And you are a sighted entrepreneur, and you have a system with your slippers, and then something happened. So you want to share that?
Yeah, well, to me, everything is on a time limit. I have to get the gym's open at 5. I have to pick Josh up. I have to do a certain amount of things in the morning. I have to oil. I have very dry skin, so I have to oil up longer than the average person. So everything has to be in its place. I didn't turn my slippers because I get dressed in the dark. Like everything has its place. I don't turn the lights on because all the lights are off. I'm a minimalist, so the lights are off. So when I get dressed, the lights are off, and I always turn, when I go to bed, I sit down like this, so my slippers are torn. I'm always ready to go. My car is parked ready to go, and my shoes. So I always put my slippers pointed that way. So I got up one morning and I couldn't find my slippers. And they were pointed the wrong way. And it threw me off 30 seconds. Then that turned into another project. It threw me off 1 minute. And then it threw me off 5 minutes in my morning program. Mm-hmm. So that 5 minutes threw my whole day off 1 hour. I calculated it.
That's crazy. Yep. So they're very much alike. That's why this was so funny.
Well, I think one of the things is that happens to all of us, but we don't pay attention to it. We don't realize how many minutes we spend looking for the car keys or looking for our purse or looking. I mean, even when I'm in a store, I see this when people are trying to find their credit card. And you're standing there and they're trying to find, it's like, please, can't you just put the credit card in the same place every time so that when you go in there, the people behind you don't have to wait in line for you to find your credit card?
Exactly. And our whole thing, like what Productive Environment Institute is all about is a finding system. I mean, we have finding systems for paper, finding systems for stuff, finding systems for digital information, emails, electronic information, everything. And so that's really what we're talking about here. That's something we all share in common is you guys have your own finding system. So I can find my slippers. If you guys, any of you guys watching have ever watched the movie with Denzel, The Equalizer. So if any Denzel fans out there, The Equalizer, he is constantly he's timing himself. He's timing himself on how long it takes him to get ready in the morning and get out the door. And I'm watching. I was like, that is so you. That is so you. I want to share a couple of comments here we're getting. So if you guys are watching, whether on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to comment. Tony says systems. Yes. Saving you space, time, energy, and money. That's right. And then C2 equals consistency and compromise. Thank you, Dee and Josh. That's right. That's Tony. She's one of our certified productive environment specialists in Louisiana. So glad you're here, Tony. All right. So another thing you had mentioned, Josh, more time for what matters. So again, these are things we teach all the time. So organization cuts out wasted time spent searching for things. That's what we just talked about, or fixing mistakes. That means more time for your passions, your growth, and the people who matter most. So I think you guys already covered that. And then the last one you shared was financial and mental freedom. The mental freedom, I could totally see that. A structured approach to life and work leads to better decision making. And Barbara's famous quote is, clutter is postponed decisions. So if we strengthen our decision making muscle, it helps us in so many ways. Consistency and long-term success. It leads to better decision making, consistency, and long-term success. When your life isn't in constant survival mode, you can focus on opportunities that bring real freedom, which brings me to talking about opportunities. You both are entrepreneurs. So of course, we know what Demetrius does. Tell us about you're an entrepreneur. What do you do, Josh? And kind of just briefly talk about that and your experience.
I started a t-shirt company a little bit after I went blind. And basically it is like, when stuff comes in my head, like somebody says it's a gumball machine. The way I picture it, I'll get somebody to draw it for me. So it's kind of like I get to express myself without seeing it, but everybody else can see what I think.
So you think of something and then you share it and have somebody else draw it? Is that what you're saying? Or design it?
They'll design it and then I'll put it on clothing.
You'll do what?
I'll put it on clothing.
You put it on clothing.
Okay.
That's really
let me show. I want him to explain this. This is cool.
Okay, show us.
This is his symbol.
Oh, and it's 3 eyes on a face mask, right?
And it's going. Tell them why you created that symbol. Tell them why.
Okay, so the shushing part represents me being quiet about having diabetes growing up. And the mask was kind of like me when I went blind, just kind of like covering up and not expressing to people how I felt. And then the third eye represents me saying, okay, that's enough. I got to change this. So it's like enlightening myself and becoming who I am now.
Oh, what a story. Oh, I love it. What a great, you use a graphic to tell your story. That's really awesome.
Yes.
That is amazing. And your business is called Light Lifters. Eds, if you'll share that, Life Lifters, there it is. See how quick she is. Lightlifters.com. Tell us about the name. Yeah.
Well, light lifters is like how Demetrius does me. It's somebody that lifts the light inside of others, like by helping them be physical, just doing good deeds to other people.
Oh, Dee's a light lifter. Oh, that's awesome. So that really describes together we're better, right? We're light lifters when we help each other.
I say that every time we lift. I don't know, Josh knows what I'm talking about. I'll grab his shoulder. I say, together we are better.
Together we are better. Yeah, that's interesting. And Demetrius, you've had a ton of people. People are watching you guys in the gym, and so they're seeing this interaction. And so Demetrius is a bodybuilder, has been for a really long time. Barbara, you know that, and he can have this. He smiles more these days than he used to. You guys that know him, he didn't smile a whole lot for a long time, and we would say, "Smile, D." And he wouldn't.
I consider that one of my greatest accomplishments. I think I contributed just a little bit to Demetrius having a smile.
Yes, you absolutely did. You absolutely did. And so he's had that unapproachable persona for years in the gym. He wears his hoodie and puts his hoodie on and don't talk to me, just don't bother me. He's had that kind of persona for a long time. And then more recently, he's been opening up and, speaking to people. And he's got this little early morning crew at the gym, and he's more approachable. And, and so now people are seeing him with Josh. They're seeing them come in, day out, every single day, like clockwork, consistently working out. And so now people are coming up to D and they're like, it's almost like they're surprised. They're like, you're a really good guy. Nice guy. Shocker. Right? Let me share a couple comments. Consistency promotes calm. That's right.
There's another C.
There's another C. Consistency promotes calm. Kathy Music is one of our specialists in the Chicago area, New Path Productivity. And then Nancy, beloved Nancy, structure equals better decisions. Yeah, that was one of Josh's points. Structure equals better decisions. It helps us make better decisions when we have systems and structure.
Faster decisions.
Yeah.
When you ask somebody, if there's something that they want to accomplish and you say, what is your obstacle? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say time.
Yeah.
And because they don't have systems in place, they're wasting a lot of time when they could be doing something that's going to increase their profitability or their productivity or their peace of mind.
That's exactly right. That is awesome. So guys, we're about to wrap up. I'm going to go back to Dee and Josh for any last closing comments they want to share. And then Barbara, if you want to as well. Before we do, again, you can find Josh at lightlifters.com. And Josh, they can buy t-shirts and things like that. It's apparel that they can purchase there. Is that right? Hats?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And such a great message. And then you can find Demetrius at DFITtransformation.com. And he has a little assessment on there, a transformation readiness assessment that you guys can take and check that out. And he helps people with health, wellness, also productivity. As you've heard, he's a minimalist and he keeps things very organized and structured. And he works with a lot of our clients as well. We have shared clients that we work together. And it's just a beautiful blend of Productive Environment Institute and DFIT. And those philosophies blend together so well. So check him out. For us, for Productive Environment, go to productiveenvironment.com/webinar. Now, I have to say, if you guys have been on our podcast before, you've been seeing that for a while. And we've had a 90-minute, sometimes a 2-hour webinar for you guys to watch. We are trying to save you guys time. So that webinar is now a mini webinar. It is 17 minutes. Okay. So if you have 17 minutes, go watch that webinar. productiveenvironment.com/webinar. It's 17 minutes, and it'll tell you about the program that Barbara and I lead called the SOAR to Success System. And SOAR means systemize and organize with action and reference. And so Demetrius and Josh, I know you guys have your systems for this. What the action means, the things that you need to do, the things you need to accomplish in a day or week or month, whatever. And then the reference means things you need to save to have for future reference. Those are the two main categories of information that we help people with. So go check that out. Tony says, amazing light lifters. Thank you all for sharing your systems to encourage us. That's right. But the thing I want to, thank you, Tony. The thing I want to say is using Josh's example of close your eyes and could you find your car keys? Could you cook? For those of us that are on this journey of organization, you know, we can make excuses, or even go into the gym. We can make, oh, I don't feel like it today, or I don't feel like filing that or doing that stuff. Imagine, you know, not having sight. Imagine having a barrier to that. And the fact that if you are fully able-bodied and you have your sight, think about that. It just makes me think about when I complain about little things. It's like, wait a second, I can do that. That's just a little, you know, a little nuisance thing. But, you know, I see Josh getting up and going to the gym and doing stuff every single day. So you guys are an inspiration. So Josh and Demetrius, any closing thoughts? And then I'm going to let Barbara give the last word.
I'm going to close with, when you're going on your spiritual journey, when you get closer to God means clearing the clutter. When you clear the clutter, you can see your future. You're getting ready. Whatever ready is, if you're getting ready for your future, like when I cleared my clutter, I saw my future. I saw I wanted to go. You can ask Andrea. I got rid of, I sold all my furniture. I had no idea what kind of furniture I was going to have. But then I went to the restore. I walked in there and I saw these 2 chairs, and I designed my whole house with those 2 chairs because I cleared everything out and I prayed about it. So when we clear everything and we create systems to clear the clutter, everything that's man-made doesn't matter anymore. When you have you and you can see yourself, when you can see yourself and where you're going, that's all that matters.
In God. That's right. Josh?
Making changes is way more beneficial than making excuses.
Ooh.
Oh, bingo.
Making changes is what beneficial? More beneficial?
Than making excuses.
Oh, that's
You said it, I didn't.
That's awesome. Before I go to Barbara, this is something you texted me earlier, Josh. This is so good. And Barbara, you can react to this if you want. Josh texted me, systems give you the ability to think. The ability to think is the most freedom you can have.
Oh, that is so true. And I just want to add one thing. One of the questions that we often ask our clients is what's one thing that you want to accomplish, or what's the next action? So I would suggest that a good action for this is that if you can't close your eyes now and visualize where your car keys are, that would be a good place to start. And that is something that you could use with the things that you have to do over and over every day. Figuring out what could you do if you couldn't sight. Josh, thank you so much. You've given us so much wisdom. And Dee, of course, I always appreciate what you bring to the table. So together we are better.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Everybody, thank you for joining us. If you're just watching this for the first time on the replay, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And be sure to check out Demetrius and Josh. And we will see you on the next Pep Talk.